What's up, everyone? Another Sunday afternoon live with Just an Insight with me, Tim Birkbeck. Going to be joined by my good friend Steve Barry at some point when he joins on the call. Going to be obviously talking about lockdown stuff and just kind of what he's been up to. Obviously, his new band was meant to be doing some shows around this time, but all that got out. But so yeah, we'll be talking about that. Just adding him into the call now, and we'll get going. So there. Oh, look at that mid swig as well. Fucking right.
How you doing, my friend?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic, yeah, keeping well.
How's lockdown treating you?
It's okay, yeah, getting by. It's not gone too
Yeah,
loony yet, so
I think you're
keeping
one of
things
the
under
few.
control.
I'm going. I'm
Yeah, so far so
jumping up. I'm
good.
bouncing off the walls. To be fair.
We'll be back at work before we know it, and we'll be moaning about that.
Yeah, this is very true. This is very true. But there's a couple of reasons I kind of wanted to talk to you. Because like I don't know, like we talk quite a lot like privately and stuff, and it's like just kind of normal stuff. We don't really kind of talk music so much. But two, also, I'm going to kind of out you a little bit. You hit a landmark birthday during lockdown, so
I did.
I'm not going to reveal what landmark, so I'll keep that safe. But like, how was that kind of celebrating in a weird kind of circumstance?
It was cool, man. I had the kids around, and they treated me well. My lady made me a beautiful cake. We managed to get out in the sun. It was perfect. The only
That's
thing was I had to, because we had a lovely party planned. I turned 40, by the way. I'm not afraid to say. But yeah, that was. We had a big party planned at the Green Door store. There's going to be bands and food and merriment. But what can you do? It went to shit.
yeah. Well, that's the other thing I was going to say, because obviously, like, I wasn't sure how like much you've been able to see sort of both Ethan and Milo, but have you been able to kind of see them quite a bit then?
I've managed to get over to see Milo quite a lot because the drive's quite short, so that was easy. Ethan's moved to Hastings, so he's even further out.
Oh,
But
okay.
he managed to get a train over for my birthday, and he cut my hair and bought me loads of gifts, so it was cool.
That's all
We had a
right.
walk, and
When this is all over, I'm very much going to be hitting them up to getting rid of these a little bit, because it's getting a bit fucking.
no way, fuck no, keep that.
It's just too thick. Like, it's all fucking.
You're like Devin Townsend in his heyday. Keep that.
Yeah.
No, I'm
Well,
sure. Yeah,
but yeah.
it was cool.
The other thing, because obviously, like, we met. Obviously, you being, well, when you joined Teeth, and have kind of been like friends since then. Like, obviously, Watch Cries, but tail end of last year, beginning of this year, sort of Ättestor kind of started snowballing and getting sort of momentum. Like, you had quite a few shows booked, but correct me if I'm wrong, but did you actually get a chance to play a show?
No, we should be 4 gigs deep now,
Yeah.
but no, we're still yet to play live,
So
which
is it
is.
kind of like, are you kind of itching to get that project kind of off the ground kind of thing?
Yeah, we're dying to get out onto the stage because Darren, our singer, hasn't played a show in about 10, 15 years. So he
Yeah.
needs to get out and bust his cherry again. So hopefully we can get out soon. I'm assuming like with the punk scene, as soon as lockdown's quashed, we can get straight out. There'll be no waiting around. We can get straight on it and play as much as possible.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be interesting to see like how venues and stuff have to kind of deal with, like, if there's any sort of health and safety kind of thing. Because I know, like, I can't remember where it was, but a friend of mine was put like a rough sort of sketch of a venue of a similar size as. Do you know the Wedge Dreams at Portsmouth?
I don't know what tunes, yeah.
Yeah. So it was kind of similar, like, capacity size as that, and they were saying like, oh, because of like they still have to introduce like social distancing, like it was all like basically like gridded out, and it was saying you can have like a person here and a person there and a person there, and like what would normally be like 250 to 300 cap room then becomes like 150 sort of thing. So, but I don't know if that's going to be the case for like, I don't know, because we like scummy DIY places that they're just going to go.
Well,
Like,
who's going to
fuck
stage
it.
dive into a grid? You know, there'll be no crowd surfing. Like, how can you mosh in a square?
Yeah.
But, well, hopefully we can build it up slowly. I've heard that 100 cap venues should be open in the next couple of months, so at least Cowley
Really?
Club can start. Well, that's what I've heard. I don't know for sure. But if we can
Yeah.
get back in and start playing some small shows and then slowly build it up, because venues like Chalk, which used to be the Hornet, started booking for November, December, so
Yeah, I've seen
then,
like a few shows at the Joiners being announced and stuff for kind of like October time and things like that. So
well,
yeah,
fingers crossed it'll come out soon and we can kind of laugh about it and write
yeah,
songs
yeah.
about it.
But the other thing, because obviously like with this new band, obviously I've only known you as a bass player, but obviously in Ättestor you're playing guitar. So was it kind of like your drive to want to kind of go back in that direction and play guitar in a band again, or like
Well,
what was
I
the
didn't play
seed
guitar.
there?
I played bass my whole youth, and then when we did Unease, I started playing guitar. You know, we only did a few shows, but I started playing guitar for that and kind of fell in love with it. You know, it's
Yeah,
very down tuned, it's very basic riffing, but it's so much fun and it's so much lighter, and I have more control over what's played because you can't really write songs on a bass successfully. You know, unless
yeah,
you're Les Claypool, like, unless you're Primus. But
yeah,
yeah, in order to shred the six string, we had to start a new punk project, and me and Ange got our heads together and realised that was what we were going to do.
yeah, yeah. And like,
Love you,
so
Lloyd.
was it just like a, I don't know, like 'cause obviously Watch Cries kind of came to its end, and I don't know, it seems to be like anyone who attaches themselves to Ant just can't seem to get rid of him, sort of thing, in the nicest possible way. But like, obviously, as soon as that ended, like Ättestor kind of became a thing. But was it something that was bubbling along anyway?
Well, we overlap. I mean, Watch Cries was amazing. We had such a good time. In my opinion, didn't see out our full potential. Obviously, we could have done a
Yeah,
lot more with that band. But you know, that came to an end. But me and Ant, we're always bubbling in the background. We always want to do some DB. There's always got to be some punk rock there. And we had DB in Watch Cries, but we want a full-on Swedish assault, you know. So that's why we switched to Ättestor, because it was bubbling in the background anyway. And when Watch Cries split, we decided it was time to kind of just make that our full-time thing. And
yeah,
luckily, when Darren and Luke joined us, it's become a lot more proactive, and a lot of people are taking interest.
yeah. I was going to say, because obviously, like as you say, we're meant to be kind of 4 gigs deep by now. But even before then, like I think again, any project that both you and Ant are kind of in, like from a personal perspective, I'm always going to be like, oh, sick, like I'm going to be interested in it, kind of thing. But like there was even before like you released like the demo, there was already kind of like talk about you guys and stuff like that. So I don't know, like I guess in some aspects coming out of lockdown, is that kind of giving you fresh impetus that you're like, we're kind of starting from zero again, but there's already a buzz behind us and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. It feels like we've had the brakes put on pretty hard. And I know a lot of bands that are kind of falling apart because they can't handle not playing. And we've got a lot of things to look forward to, and they were all just put on hold,
Yeah,
which is a shame. Our first gig was supposed to be a band called Rubble, which Lloyd was putting on. And a great band. We was really looking forward to getting out there and starting again. And now that's come to a stop. We're like, shit, you know, you get that kind of anxiety of we've got to try and start from the bottom and
yeah,
work our way up again. But not, you know, not that we want to go right to the top, but we just want to be in full production mode so we can keep pushing things and having fun. That's
yeah,
the
yeah.
main thing. Sitting in lockdown isn't fun.
Yeah,
But lucky for us, because I hold the keys to the practice rooms. Me and Anne managed to get down and space ourselves out in such a way where we could write.
oh,
So we're
okay,
actually coming out of lockdown with a new 6 tracks. We've booked the studio for next month. So before we play a show, we're probably going to have 2 releases ready to put on the
oh, that's
table.
cool.
Yeah, so we didn't stop in that respect. We just haven't busted our live cherry yet. And I know Darren's very anxious to get up there and do it. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
shake off them cobwebs.
yeah, definitely. I think like I don't, I'm really sort of like anxious to kind of like go back to that first gig, like, because it's either going to be like super wild, like everyone's just going to lose their mind, or it is going to be like really awkward. I don't know which end of the spectrum it's going to go, but
I think the latter. I think a lot of people aren't going to show because they're still nervous. They still don't know what's going on. They don't know who's going to be there and who's sick or been sick. You know, so people are going to be very. It's going to be a slow build, I think.
yeah. And
But I'd like to think everyone will come out. Go, I haven't seen a show for ages. I'm going to go wild and knock loose, go crazy.
yeah. Like I don't know. Like when this was all kind of still a bit up in the air and everyone was a bit like, oh, I don't really know what's kind of going on. Like I remember speaking to a friend and saying, oh, imagine if like Outbreak Fest was the first show back from lockdown, and just like that kind of image of carnage in my head was just sort of like beautiful kind of moment sort of thing. But I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll wait and see what happens, I guess.
Well, a question I've been asking a lot of my friends, which I'll ask you as well, is if live music came to an end, there was never another live show, who would be the last band you saw?
So my lockdown story, I was on tour. So
With Gender Roles, right?
no, Ithaca.
Oh, okay, of course, yeah.
So it would have been Big Thief, which like the weird kind of way that tour ended. I mentioned this to Brendan last week. So we were in Copenhagen and like everything was basically starting to shut down like around us. And we got to the venue in Copenhagen and the like venue rep like came up to us and was sort of like, look, because of everything, like we can't, because I think the venue capacity was like 1,200 people, so they were like, we can't have people over 1,000. So the way we're going to get around it is split the show into two and have a matinee and an evening show, both with 500 cap like entrance limit. So we were like, okay, cool, yeah, fine. Did the matinee show, all like fine, whatever. Had a little break. We all like us, like Ithaca team and the Big Thief team, all sat down to have dinner. And then the venue manager comes up to us and was like, yeah, the president or prime minister of Denmark has basically just announced full lockdown measures, like in this hour gap between the two shows. So the evening show then had to get cancelled. But obviously, like, there were people outside the venue who didn't really know what was going on. And they were like, what the fuck? Like, we've paid our tickets and whatever. So, like, this is credit to Big Thief, who, like, aren't necessarily a punk band. Like, they're kind of indie folk. That's their sort of background. But they, like, didn't want to let down these people. So, and obviously this was at the time where we didn't really know how serious everything was with COVID and like whatever. But they grabbed their guitars and went out onto the street and just played like a short and impromptu set in front of the fans. So like it was only like about 15 minutes. But so that would be the last band that I saw would be Big Thief playing on the street.
Acoustic show.
Yeah. What about you? What was yours? What would yours been?
I'd like to say Dysphere because I went to see Dysphere. I want to see Dysphere for years. They put on an amazing show and it was great. The following week, I went to see my friend's band, Defcon Zero, which I love, with Binge Drinker, Cavity Search, and Do One. So we got to the Black Heart and the tube was empty. We didn't really know what was going on by that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the end of the show, my friend Leo, who sings in Defcon Zero, was like, I don't think there's going to be another gig for a while. I was like, why'd you say that? And then, lo and behold, the next day, the whole world's on.
Yeah.
So it was scary. It was terrifying at the time. It's like, wow, what are we going to do?
Because that was the thing as well. Like, because, as I say, we were in Copenhagen. So we had to drive from Copenhagen back to Calais to get back to England. And, like, we made a stop off in Hamburg and we like, went for some food. And we were just sat in the place in Hamburg, like, are we like definitely going to get back in the country kind of thing? Like, we didn't know what was going on, and because we kind of, like Sam from Ithaca, we were kind of in 2 months, because when the tour got cancelled, there was still, I think, like 5 or 6 dates left. So
Hmm.
we weren't scheduled to go back to the UK for another like 7 days. So we were like, well, do we just make the most of this and just kind of hang out for a little while and then go back? Or do we just beeline it to the UK? And that's what we ended up doing. But it was kind of good that we did, because, as I say, as we were going back towards the UK, borders were like closing behind us, kind of thing. So yeah, it was a fucking weird experience.
Well, my parents were in Gran Canaria or somewhere, Lanzarote, somewhere like that, and they actually
Yeah.
got locked down inside the hotel and told not to leave
Oh
until
fuck.
eventually there was a plane that took them home. So they spent a week in a hotel uh, doing nothing just because they had no choice. They were getting
Yeah, yeah.
chaperoned back and forth to the supermarket by police over there. So yeah, it was a scary time. We never really knew what was going on and when. Lucky for me, I'm on the south coast. Everything's quite straightforward. So
Yeah.
we went. I went to work on the Monday, and that's when they kind of started saying things are going to be a bit weird for a while. So I put a sign up saying "Be back whenever." And
Yeah.
yeah, it's been 3 months. So scary when you run a business, when you run two businesses,
Yeah.
not knowing what's going to happen.
Well, because that was the other thing I wanted to ask you, because obviously, like, you're self-employed and obviously, as you say, kind of running businesses and stuff like that. So, like, obviously, I don't want to kind of go like dig up like your financial history and shit like that, but like, how's that kind of like affected like what you've been able to do? Have you kind of worried about that, or is it just something you kind of put to the back of your mind?
It's definitely worried me a lot. Yeah. Luckily, we work within a shopping precinct, which is looking after us a lot. If it
Oh, that's
wasn't for
good.
that, we could be in a lot of trouble. There's four of us, five of us. There's four of us that work there now, and we're all kind of just about covered by what's
Yeah.
going on. When we go back, there's going to be a few things to tie up, but hopefully we're back on the 4th of July, so we can work it out from there. Just trial and error, one in, one out kind of thing. We can't have it run as we did, so we just got to change a few things. But luckily for me, yeah, we've managed financially to keep kind of on zero
Oh, that's cool
so far. I don't know until I go back. That could be, you know, rose tinted glasses with that, but I'm pretty sure we're going to be all right.
That's cool.
So thanks, Boris. It helped us right out.
Yeah. And then, like, just in terms of kind of like what you've kind of been doing during lockdown, like, obviously we mentioned kind of you had your birthday and stuff, but like, what have you kind of been doing to sort of keep yourself busy, keep yourself occupied?
I've been trying to keep as active as possible. I've been actually on lockdown at my girlfriend's house, and she lives just a few yards from the beach on Brighton Beach.
Right.
So I've
Okay.
been swimming a lot. I've done a lot of cycle rides. Um, Me and Darren from the band, we did 60k on Thursday. We
Oh
rode
wow.
to work and back. I'm on a BMX, bear in mind, so
Fucking
I'm on a
hell.
kid's bike. So I'm back and forth. My knees are absolutely screwed. But getting out, and if I don't get moving, I feel really kind of like, what am I doing here? I've never
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
super. I've been out, I've been sunburned. You know, just getting out and getting some fresh air has been nice. But yeah, swimming's been a big deal because when you're in the
Yeah.
sea, no one can touch you. You know, it's
That's
great.
the thing. I've made a point every day to just like take my dog out and just go
Mm.
try and find like a different spot and things like that. Just at least so I'm not just becoming a complete potato sort of thing. Like just
Yeah,
going for a walk and just even like just to clear the cobwebs kind of thing. Like it really like makes a massive difference. So I think it's very easy to kind of just sit and binge something on Netflix for a day, and then you just kind of think like, "Fuck, I've done fuck
well,
all."
don't get me wrong. There's been times when we've been on that as well, but
Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
to be expected. But yeah, at least once a day, get out, make the most of the time. You know, I've never had 3 months off in my whole working in my whole career,
yeah,
so I'm kind of making the most of it best I can. Not doing
yeah,
fun stuff like cinema, obviously shows, going out to eat. It's been a big deal. Like not going out to eat. We've had
yeah,
a lot of takeaway just to try things out. You know.
yeah. That's like I've been trying to get a bit more experimental, sort of like cooking wise, and to some degrees of success. Others have been a bit questionable, but it's got like
Yeah, of
it's trial and error, isn't it? Like that's the whole
course
kind
it
of
is. Yeah.
point of it.
Well, my
But
girlfriend won't let me in the kitchen. She won't let me. I don't get involved. I can't get involved. But she's been experimenting with like baking basically. Been having
Yeah,
cake upon, to which she'll have a tiny sliver, and the boys will have a tiny sliver, and I'll eat the rest because no one else wants it. I'm bored of that now, so I have to go out running and things to kind of keep roughly in shape. But it's been amazing. But yeah, I've been eating a lot of delicious flapjacks, etc.
that's cool. Just to kind of go back to Ättestor, like you mentioned, obviously you and Ant kind of have been able to kind of get back in the practice room and stuff. So, like in terms of, I guess, kind of getting the whole band kind of getting back in a room together, have you sort of discussed that? Is it something that's looking on the cards?
Yeah,
Because obviously the way that the easing of stuff at the moment, like what I think is what you can have like 4 people in like together as long as they're whatever it is. So have you kind of spoken about that at all?
we have. Yeah, we've breached it. The joy of modern technology is, of course, we can play and I can film what I'm doing and I can forward that to the group and they can listen. And you know, we don't have to worry about all being in the same room necessarily.
Yeah.
So we can send these videos back and forth and we can learn it. So when we do get back in the room together, it's ready to go. We haven't wasted any time. That's the plan. But the guy who runs the studio hasn't been there, so I've had the keys. So it's been like the 2 of us, or we filmed it. You know, it's been 3 of us max, and it's been a slow build. But when we get back in, I feel like we're going to be ready to go almost immediately. So if a show does come up and someone says come and play, a benefit or something comes up, we can get straight on it and not think, no, we need a bit of time. So we're ready to go basically with loads of new tracks. And yeah, we're going to get the new record done next week. We've ordered a load of new merch. It's going to be loads of fun.
And
Also getting mentioned quite frequently in zines at the moment as well, because a lot of zines have become very active. So they've been making a lot of a big deal of the Brighton scene. So they've shoved us into Suspect Device, you know, Straight for Life, a local one, Razor Blades and Aspirin in Richmond, they put us in one. So the name's out there and it's building. We just need to get on a stage and show people what we do and hope it doesn't fall on its ass.
And
but
like,
we'll find out.
the other thing, like I've never kind of thought about this of other people I've spoken to about really, but I guess you're kind of a good sort of like post this question too. Like you've always been in bands that have kind of done sort of like smaller DIY tours and things like that. And obviously you're a man like myself that have driven bands and obviously you drive your own bands kind of thing. Have you, I know it's a bit different because you haven't played a show yet in Ättestor, but have you kind of like scouted about like potentially booking tours already? Or is it like, am I getting way ahead of my own sort of steam?
I know what you mean. There's a lot of people booking tours and I think it can be somewhat foolish. Like they're booking them for maybe September, which I think is a little soon.
Yeah.
Because I don't think, because you don't want to be cancelling a show that's, you know, you don't want to book a show only to cancel it. So we haven't looked into doing any other shows other than ones that we already had booked.
Yeah.
But we don't tend to look for shows very often because of Ant's connections and Darren's connections, they get thrown at us quite frequently, which is really. So we'll just kind of sit back until one lands on the doormat and we can go from there. But like I said earlier, I think if as soon as this has dropped, I think a place like Cowley Club are going to want people in there. So we're going to end up playing, you know, all the Brighton bands get together and just hit it. Just go for it. So I don't think we'll be waiting long. The second we get the go-ahead, I think that'll be it. We'll be straight out there and cracking on. But I'm supposed to be driving a tour in October, as it goes, for my friends Wonky Unit. They're doing 8 dates in Germany with Less Than Jake. So they've asked me to drive that tour. But even that, I think, is a little soon.
Yeah.
Because they've had to cancel hundreds of dates because they're super active. So they've cancelled all sorts. And I don't want them to be booking more just to cancel them again.
Yeah, this is kind of a similar situation. So I was meant to be driving Gender Roles again when they did their UK tour. Like it was meant to be end of March, beginning of April, but obviously that all got cancelled. They rescheduled it for like second week of September, and they shouted out, I was like, look, if you're free, like we'd love you to drive us again. I was like, yeah, cool. And then I think in the last week they've just cancelled the whole thing because there's uncertainty around it, and it's like I'm kind of in that boat at the moment where like at the beginning of the year, I was actively sort of like looking for work and stuff like that. But at the moment, I'm just like, kind of just letting the lay of the land wait and then see where it goes. And if people ask me, then I'll go. But I'm not going to actively push, I don't think, until...
I think that's sensible. Yeah, you don't want to get your hopes up about anything too much, do you?
Yeah, exactly. Until we've got like a clearer picture, then it's just not worth the stress and the hassle.
No, exactly. Well, I almost put my van in to get a service because I knew I was going to be doing loads of miles in it, but I didn't, and I'm glad I didn't because it's not due one. So it just would have been a waste of money and time to get it repaired, and and then have nothing to do in it. But hopefully by October things will be back to normal. We can get over, because next year we've got to conquer the touring away the visas. We've got to sort that. We've got to sort that out for you. So when that comes around, we've got to sort out visas. It's going to be way more expensive and way more difficult. And I think getting through Calais or Dover or wherever we're going is going to be way more difficult.
Yeah.
But who knows? We don't know. It's still the land of uncertainty for us, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And
lucky for me, it's not my only job.
Yeah, unfortunately, I made that mistake, but
you know. Didn't learn.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing that kind of you're similar to me in, but your tradition's a bit further than mine. Every summer I go to Fluff and you go to This Is Hardcore. And obviously that's something that's not happening now, and neither's Fluff.
I've seen a lot of to and fro-ing between promoters. This Is Hardcore saying it's going to be smaller, or I'm not entirely sure what's going to go on, but they don't want to. I haven't said this isn't happening. They really want it to go ahead, but I think they're talking about changing venues or something. But either way, I won't be able to get there because A, money, and B, no one's going to let us fly overseas. No one's going to let us go.
Yeah, but is it kind of like, is it a weird situation for you, like having a summer not going there this time?
Yeah, very much so. I didn't go last year because we had a Watch Cries tour when we toured with Gay Panic Defence. So I promised all my friends that I would go this year, and now this came up. So like, sorry. So it's going to be, by the time I get back, it'll be 3 years out. I'm just really glad I got LDB in at the beginning of the year. Yeah. So, you know, I've done an overseas festival this year. I don't feel quite so ripped off.
Yeah. Which
was incredible.
That's the thing. Like, I keep watching the videos from LDB, and I'm like, oh, fuck, I really regret not going. But obviously, like, again, I was off on tour, so it wouldn't have made a difference anyway. But like, if things kind of go back to some semblance of normality next year, I'm going to try and put as much money away as I can. LDB is top of my list, and then if it happens, maybe. But have you heard of New Friends in Canada? Yeah. So they're my top two. Like LDB and New Friends are like my top two to go to.
LDB's amazing. I mean, you're in the middle of absolutely nowhere, and it's cold and it's miserable. But the scene there,
sounds like England.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's like the south of England. There's a lot more snow. But yeah, we had a crazy time. I'm sure Ethan won't let me not go, put it that way. So I'm sure next year rolls around. We made some great new friends over there, and you know, linked up with bands and things. So who knows? Maybe we'll get over there to play. Yeah,
that'll be sick. But you mentioned your tour with Gay Panic Defence, so I'm going to move on to the questions we got, because the first one is from Matthew.
Of course he is.
He said, "Is Ant still drunk from the last Watch Cries tour?"
I think, yeah. I don't think he's fully recovered. To be fair, but no, he's been okay. We've been keeping active. We've been keeping our brains active. So yeah, no, he's sobered up a touch. But of course, with all this, it's going to drive any man mad, isn't it? So, yeah. Obviously, we're not going to drop down. I'm still on the Dandelion and Burdock. So.
Exactly, living the dream. But like, just on that kind of tour that you guys did, because I think like kind of a clash of styles in some aspects, but obviously you guys kind of seem to get on really well and things like that. So like,
you know, we never noticed the clash. We didn't notice it at all. Obviously, when we toured with Miners, Watch Cries and Miners were very similar in style. It was very aggressive. Whereas obviously Gay Panic Defence was aggressive as well, but in a completely different way. They got the power violence route. But when we played together, no one really noticed that we were completely different bands. it really did gel well. And
Yeah,
I love those guys. If I had my way, I'd tour with them and solely them.
but that's what I mean. Like, did you think because of like the way that you guys got on that kind of the music didn't really matter as such? Obviously, like playing shows and stuff is fun, but like there wasn't kind
Yeah.
of like, oh, this is a Watch Cries audience or this is a Gay Panic audience kind of thing. There
No,
was
no,
almost like,
the audiences were they were very forgiving. We had the same amount of crowd on each one. Yeah, it went down really well. I'd much rather play with a band like that, three amazing dudes who you couldn't ask for three better dudes, than being in a van or on the road with people you kind of don't care about. Do you know what I mean? They're not.
yeah,
We've known them guys for years because we played them in Nottingham once, and that was it. We were best friends forever. So we're
yeah,
even planning with Ättestor and Gay Panic as soon as possible.
that would be cool.
So because they were going to drive all the way down, Kirkcaldy in like North Scotland, all the way down to Brighton just to play my birthday show.
Oh fuck!
So that was on the cards, and they were going to hang out here. We was going to do a little Hastings gig to make them some money, and then send them back. So weekend of dreams, but alas, it didn't happen. But yeah,
Yeah,
I'll talk again tomorrow about my way.
yeah. Yeah. And then the man that was mentioned in that question, Ant himself has asked the question. He said, "What's the favorite band you've ever been in, and why?"
That's harsh, man. I know Lloyd's watching. I mean, Teeth was loads of fun. It was zero pressure. It was just everywhere we went was just chaos. Every crowd we played was loads of fun. And yeah, I didn't really have to think much. Not that it was simple, basic music, you know what I mean? But yeah, we just had loads of fun because that's what we did. We didn't really know any better. We were kind of kids in a way, even though I was late 30s. We were still
Yeah,
acting like kids. Before that, I did Brew Regime, which was kind of my baby. I wrote everything, and that was a bit more stressful dealing with. I don't know if any of them were watching. They were a little more difficult to run. Whereas Teeth,
yeah,
obviously, Ant was at the helm, so he pushed us where we were going. Then we did Time Waster for a brief period, Unease, and then Watch Cries started. So Watch Cries is probably the most successful band in terms of crowds, where people would actually come out to see us. But again, very stressful because it was way more difficult for me to play. So I've always played punk, and this was a lot more convoluted, a lot more difficult, which I enjoyed. It was loads of fun, and the gigs we played were great, and the friends we made were amazing. Difficult to pin down, to be totally fair. I'd say Teeth because it was just easy. It was just easy. We just drove to a venue. We knew there was going to be loads of people there who were going to go crazy when we played like rival mob covers. And, actually the first time I met you, I think we were playing our last time we played in Portsmouth.
yeah,
And, yeah, you were like a fucking chaos machine. Like it just kicked off. Absolutely gnarly. And those are the days I remember when people would just have fun. And there wasn't as much internet bickering.
yeah.
Although I'm sure that has peaked because of COVID and whatnot. So
Yeah, I mean, we won't go into it too much, but have you seen the shit that's been going on at the moment with the dude from Ready Eye?
the guy from what?
From Ready Eye Collective.
I've seen the other side of that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I've seen a lot of there's a lot of sexual abuse.
Yeah.
There's a lot of racism, obviously, and there's a lot of law sympathisers we've seen along the way. So the hardcore scene seems to be there seems to be a clear division, which is sad because the punk scene's always been tight knit. You wouldn't get it in the punk scene, but hardcore's supposed to be an extension of punk. So how that works, I don't know. But there's a lot of shit going down, and I don't think it's good at all. Not in terms of unity. For bands to sing about unity, they don't take part in it, and they need to practice what they preach.
Yeah, and just like the other thing that I wanted to touch upon with Teeth, like obviously as you said, the shows were like crazy and stuff, but something that was nuts that you guys ended up doing was obviously playing temples, which, like, in the grand scheme of things was like pretty mental, besides that stage that you guys played and stuff. So, like,
Yeah, it was
how was
insane.
that experience, like, being...
You know what? It was a real shame because I don't know if you heard the whole story, but we were due to play. I think it was midday or maybe 1 p.m.
Yeah.
And when they opened the door, they kind of put us on stage about 10 minutes later. And there was one person at the gate putting on wristbands.
Yeah.
So people were coming in very, very slowly. And the guy said to us, the guy, obviously, we won't mention his name, but he's not promoting anymore. He said, you need to get out there and start now, and you need to play for half an hour. We're like, well, our set's like 12, 15 minutes. So me and Paul put our guitars against our amps and just let it feed for a while. And, you know, the drone fans loved that. So we're upstairs nicking Will Haven's waters. And yeah, then when it was time to play, we dive out. We were all super ready for it because we'd been bouncing around for 15 minutes waiting to get on stage. The set flew by. I can't really remember it. But as Lloyd got into the crowd and smashed his own skull open, as he did pretty much every show, there was someone outside in the queue. I'd heard someone come up on the radio, one of the security guards saying, "We may need a medic. Someone's in here bleeding." And someone in the queue would be like, "Don't worry, that's Lloyd. He always bleeds."
Yeah.
And then later on, of course, you had trapped them smashing themselves open. So by which time it relaxed. But what happened with the people coming in dribs and drabs is all our friends missed us. We had a fair crowd, don't get me wrong, but then when we packed our stuff in the van and then we come back and Throats were playing, the place was absolutely at capacity.
Yeah. Well, because
so we really kind of lucked out.
Me, because this is when I was still with Fiona. Like, we got down early because obviously we knew that you guys were on first, and I think like we were like the second people at the gate kind of thing, and we came through, and as you say, like even just us getting through, like being like third or fourth people in, it was like fucking hell. And like even I think they ended up like opening late as well, and we were like pretty sure Teeth are meant to be starting like now. So, yeah,
because the next day my besties Grand Collapse were playing the third stage that day, and I was standing outside and I could hear him start. I'm like, fuck, I need to get in. And there's one person who he only gave us 1 day passes, so I had to blag one off because Warwolf were playing that day as well. So I had to blag one crew, and I put it on. I could hear him. I'm like, shit, I can't miss this, you know. And she's like dawdling, putting on these wristbands. I'm like, hurry up, people want to get in. There's a queue around the block. I mean, it's hardly surprising it's not a festival anymore because it was run terribly. I mean, if you're going to book someone,
because like as a punter, like it had everything that you wanted, but obviously it all came out that behind the scenes it was just an absolute shit show.
Yeah, my only gripe, well, a lot of people's only gripe is there's a lot of people there smoking weed, and when you've had a joint, you want to sit the fuck down. And there was about 12 seats in a 5,000 capacity venue. That wasn't ideal. That's the only thing people moaned about. But in terms of booking bands, it was nailed on. That stage we played was incredible. It had Nails, Trap Them, Converge. It was amazing. And it was one of the best 12 minutes of my life.
And just like again, sort of like sticking with like Teeth. I don't know, probably Lloyd and maybe get this a bit more than you do, but like, is it like, I don't know, I think it's just because I hold that sort of time in my life in a bit of a nostalgia, and I'd love to have one more Teeth show sort of thing. But
it was talked about for my birthday.
Oh really?
It was talked about and it was thought about a lot, and 3 of us were on side, 1 of us was absolutely not, so we called it a day on that idea.
Fair enough. No, that's cool.
Bless him. No, he's got his own life now, so he can crack on. Still love him, still hang out.
No,
doesn't do music.
Like, I think fair play to him. Like he made that decision, and he's kind of stuck to his guns. Like, which is like you can't dismiss someone for having that kind of thought pattern, I guess.
No, he's got solid reasons for doing it. But I would have loved to play one more because the Ättestor we're going to play. We're going to do a quick Teeth set just to get a bit of nostalgia running for the locals. But in many ways, I'm glad it's buried because we can't fuck it up now. It was such a good legacy. I only joined late. To be fair, I joined about 15 shows in out of 50 or whatever we did.
Yeah.
So I was the new kid, and yeah, I still only have. Yeah, I still only think well of that band. We had a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. And speaking of your birthday bash, I don't know who this person is, so I'm going to put their Instagram handle because this only what I've got off. But they've just asked, Whiskey Throttle 13, whoever that is. It said, "Is your birthday bash being rescheduled?"
I might have to have it on my 41st. Yeah, maybe. I'd love to do it because it was going to be loads of fun. Basically, the whole idea of my birthday, I was going to try and do it as all my clients, as it were. I wanted to have all the bands that I drive play.
Right.
But unfortunately, you know, I asked Gamma Bomb, they were keen, but they've just lost their drummer and they're writing new stuff, so that didn't work. And Grand Collapse couldn't make it, so I thought, okay, if it's not going to be all my clients, I'll just put together like all my best mates.
Yeah, yeah.
I had a band called Lioness playing, which is ex-members of Gallows. A good friend of mine from Wonk Unit plays in them. So I was kind of hoping to get that together because I was supposed to drive them to Manchester Punk Fest and some festival in Bournemouth. Obviously, none of that's happened, so they're not technically clients. So, but I thought we'll get them along anyway and just, you know, have some fun. They're a different band to what we do, very bluesy, which is good. But it wouldn't have sat on a kind of punk rock platform anyway. But the way it was going to run, I feel, would have been an amazing night. It's all by the by, isn't it? I don't know. Maybe no one would have shown up. Who knows? Fucking terrible. Being Brian, you know, maybe that would have been what happened.
Yeah. But like, I guess I don't know. Like, it's a thing with time will tell, kind of thing. But if you do rebook it, are you looking to do the same bands, or would you kind of maybe look?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah. I had to book the headliners as a secret headliner because they're a big band with contracts and things, but
right,
they're super good friends, and they would have closed the night beautifully. But yeah, I think by then they'll still be keen. I'm still their driver, so hopefully they won't have found a new one by then.
They've still got to keep you on board.
Yeah, I think we'll book more shows, or you know, Lloyd's keen to book shows, so let's get down to Cowley and have some fun. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
There you go.
Hi, Chris.
Go on then.
Did you hear the bit where I was slagging you off? Oops. Chris was in Brutal Regime.
Okay.
He was my loyal guitarist. In fact, if it wasn't for Chris, I wouldn't be playing guitar now because I currently own on a kind of permanent loan both of his guitars. So I haven't actually spent any money on gear. So thanks, Chris. Love you.
Milo's just asked, where's his charger?
It's in here. He's on the internet's room.
Bastard.
Cretin.
Right. Kind of a funny one to end things on. Richard Heaven, if you know him, he asks, who rocks a bandana better, you or Mike from Suicidal Tendencies?
I mean, Mike Muir is my idol. So that's kind of where it came from. I always used to wear it as a neckerchief. I don't know if you remember a band called the Freaks Union from the 90s. They're like a sort of dub ska punk rock band from Hull.
Okay.
And I idolised them, and they'd always wear neckerchiefs, and that was my thing. And then, of course, Avenged Sevenfold started wearing them and things, so I thought I'd maybe do away with that. But no, I certainly think I rock it better than that old fart. Plus, when you got a hairline that's starting to look like this, you need it.
I think, like, when we first met, I think you were still rocking it around the neck. I can't remember. Maybe.
Quite possibly, yeah. It was good because it kind of kept me warm when we go outside a show. You know, and you're dripping in sweat and it's cold. It was good. It just stunk all the time.
Fair. Right, Steve, thank you very much for doing this. How I've kind of like been signing this off is obviously we're all missing shows, we're all missing live music and whatever. But when we get out of full lockdown, even though we're kind of 90% there now anyway, but like what the one thing that you're most looking forward to kind of going back to normality?
I should say work, I suppose, but you know, I've built up a business for the last 20 odd years. I should probably say that, but most importantly, regular life, i.e. going out for weekends, dates and things, going out for dinner and you know, having a bit of us time. Of course, playing shows, getting out into Europe, seeing as many gigs as possible. Um, yeah, just keeping going. Really, we've had
Yeah.
3 months off. I think it's plenty. We
Yeah.
all need to start
Yeah.
looking forward to getting out there and being ourselves again and having some fun.
Yeah,
Do you know
man,
what I mean?
definitely. And I think Ches has just said, isn't that her bandana that you're wearing?
Absolutely not. This is definitely mine. I can see yours over there.
I think that's a perfect note to sign it off on. Thank you very much for doing this, Steve. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Call
No,
me
man.
anytime you want to chat.
Yeah, man. And I will hopefully see you in Brighton or somewhere very, very soon.
Definitely, a tester.
Yeah, man. Take it easy, dude.
Good to see you, dude.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye bye.